5 minutes to the top of the hour. Turning now to a wrap of your top stories of the day. This morning we are learning one man is in custody after a crash involving a CMPD patrol car. It happened yesterday on Independence Boulevard near Briar Creek Court. Thomas Royster now accused of driving under the influence when he caused a crash that injured 2 officers. We're still working to find out the conditions of those officers this morning.
Mecklenburg County health officials are warning about a growing number of unlicensed food vendors here in South End and in Uptown. These pop-up operations often lack permits and skip safety inspections. Officials say the risk of foodborne illness is high, and they're asking people to look for a posted scorecard before ordering. If you see a vendor operating without one, you're asked to report it through 311.
All right, still following this one accident that I wanted to let you know about. The other ones are pretty minor, but this one is slowing people down. It's on Brookshire Boulevard, outbound lanes before I-85. There's an incident that's blocking the left lane in both directions. Kind of hard to see what's going on, but that backup is evident, so just make sure you allow for a little extra drive time. You can still get through it. It's just slowed down right now, about 5-minute delay. Chris.
Well, we do have some low-level clouds, but that thing right there, that big orb in the sky, that's what's going to be to blame with a lot of sunshine on the way, and that's why we're going to see an excessive heat over the next couple of days. But check it out. Whew, 100 plus Saturday through Wednesday, so stay cool, everybody. Enjoy the 94 today.
Goodness. A reminder, the news doesn't end here. Coming up on WCNC Plus, Nick Carboni's talking Panthers' first day of practice, what he thinks of how things are going on the field. Plus, we'll hear from the city animal shelter about pet safety tips. And Chris is going to have more on some of the rain they've seen up in the high country in the last few weeks.
That starts in just a few minutes at 7 o'clock on WCNC Plus. We'll see you there in just a few. Make it a great Thursday.
streaming live right now at 7 a.m. here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington. A live look at Uptown on this Thursday morning where the Panthers are preparing for training camp. Chris says they better get ready for another hot day. We're talking scorching heat today.
Yeah, and even more so by the end of the week, heading into the weekend. And I just want to show you where we've been over the last 35 days. So we went 17 days of 90 plus. Then we took a break where we dropped down to 86. And that was the day that we also had some leftovers from the tropical system that dumped a ton of rain just east of us around the Raleigh area from Chantal. And then we've now are on an active streak of 17 days in a row of 90 plus. We barely hit 90 just a couple days ago, but now we're going to extend this significantly. Right now, we're looking at a gorgeous shot here in Lylesville, some low-level clouds from place to place. Current temperatures at 75 in Charlotte. Still a little bit of a cooler air mass to the north, and that's why it's 56 degrees in Boone, 65 in Morganton. We really had a breathtaking day yesterday that it didn't feel overly humid. It actually was pretty comfortable for this time in July. That is gone. That was yesterday. That's why I kept on saying pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week, because that was the day to take advantage. Now we're kind of back to that usual July heat. If not, it's above normal as well. 94 in Charlotte, 94 in Rock Hill, 95 for a high right in Lancaster, and then we have Hickory and Salisbury hitting 91. But by the mid to late afternoon, we could have those real feels up to about 98 degrees, and that's going to continue to solidify us as one of the 3 hottest Julys on record. But I'm now factoring in our long-range forecast. If you take all the highs and lows that we have for the rest of the month for our forecast data, it's actually going to bring us up to the 2nd hottest July on record, especially now because we're calling for at least a chance of hitting 100 degrees, not 1, not 2, 5 days in a row. Crazy. And even if we only hit 99, yeah, it's going to break our 100-degree streak or a chance at that. You're still going to have a real feel up to about 105. As far as the longest streaks in Charlotte history at 100 plus, it's 5 days back in July of 1986. We've done 4 days in a row at 100 plus 3 times, and we've done 8 times at 3 days or more. So it's a good shot at 100 degrees regardless, but it's really these real feels that are going to put us under a heat advisory for the weekend and heading into next week. There's even a chance that some of us here in the Carolinas will be under an extreme heat warning with a chance of getting up to 110. That's the hottest we felt so far, by the way, in Charlotte. It's actually 109.6, but we rounded up to 110. But 106 to 108 is going to be the spikes on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and heading into Tuesday and Wednesday. Tonight, down to 75. That's not too bad. That's still an above normal low. Our normal low is 70 degrees, 75 for you in Rock Hill with a heat index rolling into sunrise tomorrow. But the lows are also going to be around a record and also concerning because you need to really drop down below 75 degrees for us to really truly recover. But look at this, a high or low of 80 degrees on Monday. The warmest low for that day in climatology is 78. That you're talking about 4 mornings in a row that are actually going to be the warmest on record, and that's dating back to 146 years of record keeping. As far as our rain chances go, we have a chance of an isolated storm most days this week. The only one that we have low is Sunday, but that's not the major story. It's certainly the heat. That I have rarely ever given a forecast like this, and certainly never here in my Charlotte career. I've been here since August of 2018, and 2019 was a very hot time frame. We were actually calling for near 100 degrees, but we only hit 99. We're calling for 100 to 101 Saturday through Wednesday. Stay cool, everyone, and 94 seems cool compared to where we're going, Majestic, so at least we have that. Enjoy the day.
We'll take what we can get, that's for sure. It's a beautiful start to the day, plenty of sunshine, so grab those sunglasses, go fill up your water bottle, start hydrating now. 75 degrees, you can see area roadways are looking all right. Still not seeing anything that's too significant at this point. One watch spot, though, that I really want to let you know about. This is the latest picture that we have received from it. It's on Brookshire Boulevard outbound before I-85. That's where the accident is, but the incident in general is now blocking the left lane in both directions. So you can see this is actually starting to build. This backup here, lots of oranges and yellows and reds. You can still get through. It's just slowing you down about 5 minutes. So make sure you plan accordingly if your morning commute takes you that way. Otherwise, out towards Freedom Drive, another crash here on Camp Green Street. Minimal impacts with that one. But if you take Independence inbound, we have another accident here. It's on Independence and Norland Road. Starting to see mainly just yellows and oranges. So medium impacts with that. I-85 alive. No accident this time, but we're starting to see those typical stop and go conditions as more people are heading inbound. I'll keep a close eye on that for you. And if you're coming in on I-77 inbound from York County, good morning. Rock Hill, Fort Mill, looks all right. There's a live look right now of I-77. Again, it's a beautiful start to the day. That's what I'm looking at for now. We'll have another check on those area roadways coming up then.
All right, Ms. Justin, thanks. We've learned a man is facing charges this morning after a crash involving a CMPD patrol SUV. This is video from that scene. It happened on Independence Boulevard yesterday near Briar Creek. We're now learning Thomas Royster is accused of driving under the influence when he caused a crash that injured 2 officers. We know one person was taken to the hospital. Still working to figure out if it was Royster or one of the officers.
Right now, the Carolina Panthers are preparing for their second day of training camp.
Sports director Nick Carboni was there and says players aren't wasting any time getting into game mode. He joins us right now to chat with us about how things are going. Nick, I guess the trash talk already started at training camp, which I assume is a positive sign. It means they're bonding.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how many quiet training camps we've had the last handful of years. Back when I first got here, it was right around that Super Bowl team era, Cam Newton and Thomas Davis. Training camp practices between those two were loud. They were energetic. You thought at times the offense and defense was going to come to blows, but you go back in the history of football and you see teams that are successful and you go to those training camps and that's kind of how it is. But it hasn't been like that in a while. I mean, there's been so much change. Everybody's just trying to get to know, the playbook every year and then get to know each other. So this is the first time in a handful of years there has been some familiarity, continuity with everything where guys can just focus on football. That's what J.C. Horn, the Pro Bowl cornerback, told us yesterday. It was like last year we had to learn the new coaches, learn the new system. This year it's all ball. And speaking of J.C. Horn, yesterday at the beginning of practice, I was watching the quarterbacks throw, and they're just lightly throwing by themselves, not even to receivers, to equipment assistants and low-level assistants. And I look to the right, and there's J.C. Horn just lurking, and then his fellow cornerback, Mike Jackson. And so I asked J.C. after practice, what are you guys doing over there? I had an idea of why. And he confirmed it. Yeah, we're trying to get in their heads. We're trying to say, hey, get used to throwing us the ball today in practice for interceptions. This is a kind of a continuation of trash talk between J.C. Horn and, believe it or not, Bryce Young that we saw in minicamp. And I remember J.C. telling us then, yeah, this is a good sign. This is a sign we're being competitive. This is a sign we're making each other better. And Bryce Young told me yesterday, we're going to be teammates on Sundays, but out here, it's offense against defense, and defense got Bryce Young once on an interception yesterday. So the tally has already begun.
And they say that it is defense that wins those games. Something that was different, though, Nick, at training camp yesterday, no fans. What was that like?
Strange. The only time we've seen that in Carolina is during COVID. Of course, for a quarter century, training camp was down at Wofford College. It was free and accessible to fans who wanted to go, and they had record-setting years, especially after that Super Bowl in 2015. But the reason there's no fans for the next 2 years, according to the Panthers, is that they're building their new field house where that practice bubble was on Cedar Street. That field house won't be ready until 2027. It is basically a construction zone right outside of all of the practice field fences. So it'd really be kind of unsafe for fans to be there right now. But it is kind of a bummer not to see them get that experience, especially kids, to be able to go and, either, see the players they love or fall in love with the franchise. That's how it starts for a lot of kids. And Bryce Young, he threw his first couple of passes at practice yesterday, and then I saw him turn around to where the crowd usually is, and he kind of gave it one of these. It was weird for him not to feel that energy. And when I asked him about that after practice, he said, yeah, we've got to bring it ourselves now. We've got to create our own energy, but they do a pretty good job of doing that. Head coach Dave Canales, he's got no shortage of an energy supply, and I think that rubs off on his players. But I think everybody's kind of a little bummed out that there aren't fans there.
And Nick, what would be one standout that you kind of saw yesterday? Of course, we're all looking for Bryce, see how things are going. What are maybe some surprises that you might have seen? Because there's collectively the biggest roster of wide receivers that I've seen that are actually competent. So what are some of the surprises that you might have seen at training camp? I know it's only day one, but any standouts?
Hey, buddy, go Sox. We got one last night, so that was a relief. So I would say Damani Richardson is the guy that stood out yesterday. A lot of even maybe casual Panthers fans might not recognize that name. He came in last year as an undrafted free agent safety out of Texas A&M. Got cut, then made the team later, ended up starting 5 games, intercepted Baker Mayfield late in the season, his big interception in that game. And he has stuck around, and this team basically let go of all of its starting caliber safeties from last year. They're basically starting over. They signed Trayvon Merrick from the Las Vegas Raiders, who they're going to count on to be, kind of bolster the back end of that defense, which we know struggled. But everybody thought it was inevitable this offseason that they'd go sign another free agent safety. There were a bunch of veteran free agent safeties, and this is kind of how it works in the NFL. If you've been around a long time and you've proven yourself, you can kind of wait to see who signs you right before training camp, right at the beginning. Everybody thought they were signing another safety. They haven't. And some of those safeties have joined other teams. Julian Blackmon joined their rival in New Orleans. Damani Richardson is the reason why I think they haven't signed that extra safety yet. This team and this coaching staff is giving him every opportunity to go claim one of those, that next starting spot, aside from Merrick. And yesterday he had an interception in training camp, so he's off to a great start. So, everybody's looking at Bryce, everybody's looking at the rookie receiver, Tetairoa McMillan, but I think Damani Richardson stood out day one for sure.
All right, well, that's awesome, Nick. Thank you so much for your services. Sure. We appreciate it this morning. But
you got it.
I think that's also the making of a good turn as well, because I think the Detroit Lions are a good example.
Okay.
That for the longest time, they were just drafting well. And these players that you might not have known of now have turned into stars. So I think that what we're seeing there is a year one player now turned year two that Nick was saying has stood out. I think we're going to see a lot of those up and comings. This is the best draft that I've seen since I've been following the Panthers.
Okay.
So that's why I called them again. I'm going to say one more time, going to the playoffs this year.
There you go.
All right. Well, thanks to Nick and to Chris, of course.
We appreciate the optimism. 7:13 right now. Let's go to live pictures over the White House this morning, where President Trump is trying to shift focus this morning, talking trade and AI, but the Epstein controversy is still front and center. A new report says the president knew his name is in the files, and he knew it as early as May. As NBC's Alice Barr explains, now lawmakers on both sides are pushing to make those records public.
New developments this morning in the push for transparency in the Jeffrey Epstein case, coming from both sides of the aisle.
I mean, you'd have to have your head in the sand to say that this is going to go away.
In a bipartisan vote, a House subcommittee moved to subpoena the Justice Department to release full files on the notorious sex offender. Also seeking subpoenas for high-profile names, including former President Clinton and a string of past attorneys general, having already subpoenaed convicted Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell for a deposition next month. The Deputy Attorney General is expected to meet with her soon. An attorney who represented more than 200 Epstein victims says they are deeply anxious that Maxwell could be pardoned.
What incentive does she have to tell him anything if she's getting nothing out of it?
That as the Wall Street Journal is out with new reporting that President Trump is named in the Justice Department's Epstein files. The paper, citing senior administration officials, also notes that Attorney General Pam Bondi told the president in May that his name appears multiple times along with many other high-profile figures. President Trump was asked about that last week.
Did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the file?
No, she's given us just a very quick briefing.
A DOJ official tells NBC News a mention of anyone would not necessarily suggest wrongdoing, and the Attorney General said nothing in the files warranted further investigation or prosecution, while the White House is roundly rejecting the Journal's reporting. In another development, a federal judge in Florida rejected the Justice Department's request to have secret grand jury transcripts unsealed from the Epstein investigation. President Trump wanted the records public, seeking to satisfy his own supporters' loud calls for the full Epstein files. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
7:15 now. We've learned the man at the center of this viral video being punched by officers attends Livingstone College in Salisbury. 22-year-old William McNeil Jr. was pulled over by Jacksonville, Florida police back in February, according to the arrest report, in part because his headlights were off in the rain. You can see officers break McNeil's window, punch him in the face, and drag him out of the car. Yesterday, McNeil spoke publicly for the first time with his family and civil rights attorneys by his side.
That day, I just really wanted to know, why I was getting pulled over and why I needed to step out the car when I know I didn't do nothing wrong. I was really just scared.
This was a classic case of driving while black. Yep. To the sheriff, respectfully, you can't justify this. You can't condone this. You have to condemn this.
As we mentioned, McNeil is a student at Livingstone College in Salisbury. The school's president also speaking out about the incident live on WCNC+.
We see in that video that his rights were violated.
Yes, they were.
But he showed us restraint. Yes. He showed us a little resolve, showed us resistance.
Yes.
But you know what he's showing us today by standing here tall and strong?
Come on, Dr. Davis.
That he's resilient.
That's that part.
Which means he's going to bounce back. And so, my appeal, first of all, I want this family to know that the entire Blue Bear Nation stands with Will. Mm-hmm. We stand with you. Mm-hmm. And we believe in what Dr. King said, an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
Yes, sir.
Just know this. There are consequences, and repercussions for your actions. Mm-hmm. On my campus, I haven't had a fight since I've been president in 3 years. You know why? My students know that any act of violence, the consequences and repercussions. Mm-hmm. They know that they go home. Mm-hmm. At minimum, the sheriff who assaulted Will needs to go home.
Yes, sir.
Attorneys are now calling for the immediate termination of the officer who punched McNeil in that video.
South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson is joining other states in an effort to keep racial and sexual content out of public schools. The group is backing a rule that bans spending money on materials that teach any race or sex is better or worse than any other. The NAACP is pushing back this morning, saying it violates their First Amendment rights. The Attorney General argued that states have the right to decide what's taught in their classrooms.
All the rain that we've been getting is affecting businesses in the mountain counties. The Watauga County Chamber of Commerce says the weather is keeping people away and businesses are struggling to get back on track.
We should make a distinction here. A lot of folks here in the Charlotte area specifically we've not seen a lot of rain, but folks in the mountains certainly have. Let's go ahead and turn it over to Chris. This is the area that needs as much business and commerce as possible, and it seems like rain has gotten in the way.
No, it certainly has, because really since July 1st, we've had 6.02 inches of rain around the Boone area. But one thing you got to know is that the mountains receive a lot more rain than the Charlotte area, and at times in a given year, sometimes it can be double. The most that I've seen dating back to 1980 was over 93 inches of rain, and even from Helene, it was 71 inches of rain for a given year. But looking at both stats, since January 1st, the mountains have seen 34.09 inches of rain, but 6 of those inches have come since July 1st, or really over the last 23 days. And that's only the 13th most in record keeping dating back to 1980. So in the near term, yeah, the flooding situations. There's a lot of flash flood warnings that happened, especially last week. Now, the good news is that area is going to dry out on top of the rest of the area. Meanwhile, we're going to be around 100 degrees here in Charlotte. There's a chance that even Boone could get up close to 90 degrees. And we're really transitioning from more of that wet forecast from Chantal and what's been happening up in the mountains to now this forecast. So let's move on to our rain chances. So I want to get to our forecast here locally. So roll stinger. We are expecting a on and off shower potential really over the next several days. It looks like Sunday is the best chance to stay dry, maybe a spotty chance on Tuesday, but oftentimes when it's this hot and humid, it can do one of two things. If you get like a trough or a front or something to slide in, you're looking at widespread rain that even could have a flooding potential. But when it's just reliant on the atmosphere popping up an isolated thunderstorm, sometimes you don't really have as much activity. If I were to pick a day that I think has the best chance for rain over the next 5, I think it's tomorrow. Today we're already seeing signs of a little bit of rain down towards the south, but not really much is coming from it. So there's the slightest chance that you could have a quick little shower over the next couple of hours. But I would really say after 2 o'clock, we could have a pop-up isolated storm, but you're not really looking at a lot of coverage area. Maybe a better chance as you work your way a little bit closer to the evening hours. We have this front that's starting to back build into the area overnight tonight. So that is going to allow for a better chance, especially south of I-85. As the sun is setting, eventually that rain band is going to die out. Tomorrow, as I mentioned, that's, I think, our best chance for rain over the near term. You're expecting an isolated storm to start to bubble up right around noon. Yesterday was gorgeous. We had a high pressure system where you didn't see a cloud in the sky. Today, you're going to see a mix of cloud and sunshine. Time it could even be cloudy, and we're dealing with that right now in some spots. But by tomorrow, I think you have that classic puffy cumulus clouds that are starting to build, and if they grow in the vertical, they could turn into a thunderstorm. Really, anything goes during the afternoon, and they should be slow moving because we don't really have a lot of push from the atmosphere to glide them along. They're kind of on their own time and their own fruition. Once you get to about 7 o'clock, we're starting to see some things wind down, but I think you still have a storm dwell as late as about 10 o'clock for your Friday. As for your Saturday, we are starting to see a little bit more activity starting to pop up, but it should be a little bit more of the hotter variety. But if it does crack, if we break that cap, that's going to allow for at least more of a clusters of storms, but that looks to be more so up in the high country and around the foothills. So our futurecast rainfall from what I just showed you, only showing anywhere from a 0 to maybe a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch of rain on the upper level. It just depends where those thunderstorms set up. The best chance for rain, though, is Wednesday heading into next Thursday, and at that point, that's going to start to trigger our next chance to cool down. So check it out. There's the big story. 100 plus is the possibility Saturday through Wednesday. That is your weather report. Now let's head over to Majestic. What's going on, my friend?
Good morning, everyone. Well, keeping a close eye on several things for your morning commute. It's a nice start to the day. Definitely going to be warming up fast. You can see this is I-85 there at Sugar Creek, 75 degrees, seeing sunny skies, and also several accidents out there on my map. Still following this one here. It's this accident on Brookshire Boulevard outbound before I-85. The incident, it's blocking the left-hand lane in both directions. This is the last picture that we got of that. Of course, it's a little outdated by this point, but the backups again in both lanes because of this ongoing crash right before I-85. In addition to that, we're following this. It's on Freedom Drive and Camp Green Street. A little bit of yellow, meaning that cars are just moving a little slower than they typically would be because of the crash. And then, hey, if you take Independence inbound, we're watching this crash. It's on Independence and Norland Road. Otherwise, things are looking all right for your morning commute. I-85, we're starting to see those typical backups. No crash there, just a lot of people heading in the same direction. I-77, if you're coming in from South Carolina, areas like Rock Hill or Fort Mill, seems to be all right. There's a live look outside York County. Good morning to you. Again, area roadways are nice and dry. The sun is out. It's a beautiful start to your morning commute. We'll have another check coming up here shortly.
Hi, this is Larry Sprinkle. Time for On This Day in History. We go back to July 24th, the year 1969. Apollo 11 returns after the very first moon landing that was splashed down in the Pacific Ocean on this day in 1969. By the way, that lunar landing, the Apollo 11 moon landing, was Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin with Michael Collins in the command module. This picture taken as Buzz Aldrin salutes the American flag taken by Neil Armstrong. On this day in history, it was the splashdown of Apollo 11 after the very successful moon landing. And that's what happened on this day in history. I'm Larry Sprinkle.
All right, Larry, thanks so much. We're going to take a quick break, but make sure you keep it right here on WCNC Plus. We're back at 7:30 with the day's top headlines and a check on weather and traffic.
Yesterday we hit 92. Today we're going to be right around 94. We could have a real feel close to 98. That's a big difference. It's humid once again, and we're going to have a mix of cloud and sunshine for the afternoon. Also a chance mid to late afternoon, a pop-up shower or thunderstorm. Could also see another one a little bit later on in the evening. Then overnight tonight should be a mild low, dropping down to 75 degrees. And then here we go. 97 tomorrow with a real feel about 102, and then 100 degrees is a possibility on Saturday. Each tomorrow and your Saturday has a chance for developing showers to pop up during the afternoon. But here's the big story. There's a chance that we could hit 100 degrees 5 days in a row with a possibility of a real feel up to about 105 to 109 Saturday through Wednesday. Stay cool. This is definitely one of the hottest stretches that we've seen really over the last 10 years. Majestic, take it away. What's going on?
All right, good Thursday morning, everyone. Area roadways look a little something like this. Congestion is starting to pick up as more people are heading out the door and starting their day. This is I-85 at Statesville Ave. You can see a few accidents to let you know about. We've been following this one now for the last 30 minutes or so. It's on Brookshire Boulevard, outbound lanes. There was an accident right before you got to I-85. It was blocking the left lane in both directions, but some good news for you. This is cleared. Still a little bit of a backup, but we'll have more coming up on WCNC. Plus, hope to see you over there soon.
We're streaming live on WCNC Plus at 7:30. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson. A warning this morning about the food you might be eating. From South End to Uptown, all around, street food scene here is booming, but not all of it is necessarily safe.
WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards is live this morning. And Destiny, health officials warn that many of these food vendors don't have the proper permits.
Yeah, the food that you're getting could smell great. It could even taste amazing, but it's what you're not seeing that could make you sick. And health officials say that is the case when it comes to these pop-up vendors, these illegal pop-up vendors, and them operating under the radar. Now, Mecklenburg County Public Health says they've seen an uptick in complaints about these unlicensed food vendors, mostly in Uptown and South End between 8 p.m. and 2 a.m. These vendors aren't subject to health inspections, meaning there's no oversight on sanitation, hand washing, or safe cooking temperatures. Licensed food trucks are required to display a scorecard that shows they've met basic safety standards, but pop-up vendors don't follow those rules, and officials say that puts you at risk for foodborne illnesses. Those who do follow the rules say it's frustrating to compete with vendors who don't.
Us food truck owners can tell kind of who's legit and who's not. When people come out here and they don't do it the right way, then it just looks bad on all of us.
And health officials are saying before you order food to look out for that posted scorecard. That's how you really can tell if they're legit or not. And if you do not see one, they want you to call 311 to report it. Ben, Lisa.
Yeah, to that point, what can be done about this? You got to have vigilant customers who are looking for those scorecards, which I know a lot of people look for. Some people don't. And so people then report them. Is there something that can be done about these vendors?
Yeah, so basically calling 311 is the way to report that they're operating illegally and to effectively shut them down. Mecklenburg County Public Health is saying they're getting a growing number of complaints about this. And it's really from food vendors that, you know, it might look a little off. They're not the regular ones that they see that you might see outside of the bar or at a festival. And it might be difficult to know if they're legit or not, but you can also go to the Mecklenburg County website. You can also go to Yelp to see if it's an official vendor that has a regular report, sanitation report, things like that. They're also saying that, you know, this is about not trading safety for convenience. It's about, you know, protecting yourself from E. coli or salmonella. So really severe or deadly impacts from eating these foods that might not be safe.
That is no fun. And again, it's just a good reminder to look for those scorecards.
Yeah, the thing is, I think a lot of people, if you're uptown having a big time one night and you've been out and maybe you had an adult beverage and or you've been at one of the games or something, you're probably just not even in that mindset of, oh, here's a street vendor, let me look for his scorecard.
Right.
I get how that doesn't
Could happen for
yeah.
sure.
All right.
Yeah. All right, Destiny, thanks so much.
All right, turning back to your forecast, Chris joins us with day number 17, and looks like we're going to get up to the 20s.
Yeah, I think well into the mid-20s, so officially I think will move us up into at least the 4th spot for the longest consecutive 90s. And then we're challenging a whole other record of the most consecutive 100-degree days. Now, we need to do it 5 days in a row. It's a possibility. That's what's on the 7-day right now. But yeah, yesterday was officially day 17. Today will be 18. So just over the last 10 years in general, since 2015. 2020, we had 20 days in a row. 2015, we had 18 days in a row. 2015 also had 17 days in a row, but we've done it twice now. 2 stretches of 17 plus, and here we go. We're gonna do it again. I have a high of 94. The normal is 90 degrees, and there's a slight chance for a pop-up shower, a thunderstorm, not much happening. A mix of cloud and sunshine, some more clouds than we saw yesterday, and it's feeling more humid than we did yesterday as well. Check it out. Here's a look at a version of Futurecast that barely is anything. Just a little bit of green pops up here. I think it's really trending to be a better chance for rain later on in the evening, so that means most of the afternoon is going to stay dry, but literally one storm could be an individual standout by the afternoon. Better chance really after 6 though. But your Friday, I think it's going to be a possibility of these isolated storms here and there, but we don't really see a vast coverage. And Friday is kind of standing out a little bit more than Saturday. And then beyond that, it's just a general chance for an isolated pop-up. So we'll still keep that chance around. And then by tomorrow, here we go. We're starting to see those real feels surge into the triple digits because I think we have more moisture. A high of 97 could feel as much as 100 to 103, but we're not quite at that heat advisory criteria. The National Weather Service needs to have a chance of up to 105 plus for them to give you a heat advisory. That will happen this weekend because look at our actual air temperature. Forecast high of 100 to 101. The only way that doesn't come to fruition is if we get a lot more cloud cover or say a storm is going to hit the site where the temperature is red at Charlotte Douglas International Airport. But likely we're challenging 100 degrees for your Saturday, Sunday, and also 3 days next week. Last weekend was, a keyword was, the hottest weekend of 2025 so far, 96, 98. But as you can see, we're going to beat that this coming weekend. For heat alerts, you will see them this weekend. It's a will. Now, oftentimes it's like, oh, likely you'll see this. Now, with just this chance if we can get to 100 degrees, National Weather Service is going to issue one of two things. Tomorrow, we might have a chance that some areas, I think especially in the eastern Carolinas, could be under what's called an extreme heat watch. That's a possibility of the next 24 to 36 hours, getting a heat index at 110 plus. Well, once you're within that 24-hour window, there'll be an extreme heat warning. I think that's going to be a possibility for some of us here in the Carolinas for your Saturday and Sunday. Meanwhile, the rest of the area should be shaded in this color. A heat advisory where it's up to 105 plus to 109 is going to be a possibility. Also, the National Weather Service has this product, so this is just for heat impacts. Whenever it's red to purple, you have major to extreme threats for dangerous heat, especially once you get a little bit closer to about that 110 range. Well, we're all purple on Sunday. If you move forward to your Monday, check this out, expands even more further off towards the west, where even the mountains have a moderate threat, and that's usually not the case, usually more of a minor. And then we start to see some breaks heading in the middle of next week, but it's really not until Thursday that we start to break this. This is the upper level pattern showing what's called the heat dome. You probably heard it before. It is planted right over us, and it actually drifts a little bit further off towards the west, where most of the United States dealing with really a hot forecast through the early part of next week. And it's not until we start to get a little dip from the polar jet stream that starts to work its way from Canada down into New England that we'll start to see a change in our pattern. For right now, we don't see any rain right around the Charlotte area. There is a slightest chance for a light shower, let's call it a sprinkle over the near term. But again, as I mentioned, chance for an isolated storm today, tomorrow, Saturday. Sunday's the only day, and Tuesday has a chance of no storms whatsoever. Moving forward for our 7-day forecast, whew. Look at that. It just looks hot, right? 100 to 101 possibility Saturday through Wednesday. We're going weather alert, and all those days should at least have heat advisories for Mecklenburg County and surrounding counties here that we cover on WCNC+. There's weather report up next. Traffic with Majestic Storm.
All right. Good morning, everyone. It is here Thursday. If you're heading out the door, a few things you're going to want to know about. Let's start with my traffic map first because we're starting to see more accidents pop up now as we're now in that 7 o'clock hour. Want to take you out to South Tryon Street where we're following this accident. Inbound lanes being impacted. South Tryon and Arrowwood Road. You can see a couple of paramedics are there, a fire truck. I've seen some police officers as well. So keep this in mind. Again, this is where it is. This is our active crash. The left turning lane right now is blocked as they're trying to clear this. So I'll keep an eye out on that for you. Otherwise, another thing that I'm keeping an eye on is this. The right lane right now is blocked because of a crash. It's on I-77. Southbound at exit 4, that Nations Ford Road. That's exactly where it's at. You can see all of the red right there, just indicating that cars are moving very slowly. And this is a live look around that area of that congestion. So again, southbound lanes being impacted by that. There's a live look I-77. So just allow for a little extra drive time if you do take that way. One last thing I do want to highlight is on Independence where we're following this crash. It still hasn't been cleared, but we're not seeing any significant slowdowns. It's on Independence and Norland Road. We'll have another update coming up here in just a few.
A new development proposal in Cornelius is stirring up debate this morning, not over what's being built, but how big it would be. The 6-story building is planned for the corner of Jeton and Bethel Church Road, bringing a mix of condos and commercial space. Neighbors worry it would be too tall and could change the small town feel of the area.
Several lots that are for sale right now in the vicinity. So if you allow this 6-story building, then you've set the precedent for other 6-story buildings to come in. And I'm just concerned that in 3, 4, 5 years is going to look like a series of high rises.
The developer says that shrinking the building would doom the project. Neighbors will have another chance to voice their thoughts on August 4th.
Well, 7:40 right now on WCNC Plus. This morning, CMS scrambling to cover a $12.5 million funding gap. And if you're the parent of a Charlotte student, this could have major impacts for you this fall. WCNC Charlotte's Julie Kay spoke with school officials and a student about these possible changes.
Quentin Canty's senior year at West Charlotte should be full of learning and planning for his future. He says it's also full classes.
I'm in an IB class, and I was in an IB class my junior year. Our class sizes were 30 plus.
Canty says resources already feel strained in places, so he's worried about the impact of the freeze in federal grants. Attorney General Jeff Jackson is suing the administration over that freeze, saying it could result in 1,000 educators being let go statewide. Kelly Klutz, chief financial officer for the district, says their plan means that won't happen at CMS this year.
If we're cut the $12.5 million, it will be deep and it will be painful, and every student could feel that impact.
The district is using carryover funds from last year. They're also not filling vacant positions and redistributing millions to essential needs. However, that won't work for the next school year. If funding isn't released by then, Klutz says they'll have to make budget changes.
Out of Title II, 3, and 4, we will have to find another resource, a funding resource, or a place for more than 60 people.
Canty says students are already wondering what that looks like for them, but hope this is temporary.
We're going to lose some things. We got to think of, hey, this is happening, so now we have to adjust to them until it comes back.
For WCNC Charlotte, I'm Julie Kay.
A former pet grooming employee is facing charges this morning after a video online appeared to show her mistreating dogs at work. Kirsten Taylor is now charged with animal cruelty. That incident happened at Classy Critters Pet Resort and Spa in Mooresville. Social media video shows Taylor hitting the dogs and handling them roughly. That business responded on Facebook, calling the behavior unacceptable. Taylor has since been fired.
All the severe weather has pet owners focusing on safety for their animals. We talked to the city's animal shelter on WCNC Plus, and they offered tips to how to prepare for an emergency with your pet and what you can do when severe weather hits.
So I always do make sure that I have leashes and collars, different places in my house, because I have a 2-story house. So I make sure I have extra leashes upstairs in case of a house fire and I'd need to like get outside or something like that and go out the window perhaps or something like that. So I do keep some upstairs and I keep some downstairs. But that's the one thing that you really want to make sure that you have handy, that you know where they are, is leashes, collars, harnesses for dogs. That way you can just grab them as quickly as you can, and that way you'll be able to control your animal no matter what the situation is. And then also it's great, you may not use your cat carrier very often, maybe that once a year trip to the vet for the shots, but make sure that you have a cat carrier for each cat. And make those, somewhere that, like on your exit plan out of the house, that you can grab those, whether maybe it's a coat closet. There's often a lot of coat closets that are right inside the entryway. That's a good place to put all your extra stuff. So those are things that I think for me, like if I'm having to leave in a hurry and I need to take my animals, those are the things that I'm going to need the most. If you have a little bit more time, and this is something you can do now, is medical records. They're very key because it shows the vaccinations that they have and also the rabies certificate. So what I like to tell everybody is make a copy of it so you can get them from your vet. If you don't have them with you and you can't find them, they can email them to you. Just call your vet, they can email them to you. Keep a copy in your glove box. That's a great place to keep a copy. Keep a copy of your microchip records as well, because that way you know the number. If you don't have a microchip, then we need to talk about that too, because you need to get a microchip. It is the best thing in emergency situations if your pet is lost from you to be able to get your pet back to you. But the other thing that's important to have is any medications that they might have. So as you're going out the door, think about, like, is your animal on a special medication that it would be a problem if it didn't get it every single day. So those are my tops, those are my top things. What I like to tell everybody too, and you're gonna hear me say say this a few times, put all of your paper medical records that you have, put them in a Ziploc freezer bag, or whatever brand that you would like to
So it
use.
doesn't get wet.
So it doesn't get wet,
Yeah.
because oftentimes you're leaving and it's raining or it's flooding or those sorts of things, and that's going to keep everything nice and dry. I recommend to do that with the medications as well. Yes, this Saturday, the July the 26th, is National Dog Photography Day. So if you don't have anything that you're working on and stuff, make sure that you do this on Saturday. Is you want to take a picture and you want to do a selfie with your animal. And this isn't just for pet preparedness. This can be actually proof if your dog was stolen or something. It's going to show that you are the owner because you literally have the pet with you in the picture. So Saturday, take a bunch of selfies. Make sure that you have those on your phone stored somewhere. Send them to maybe some friends and that sort of thing, so there's extra copies in case you lose your phone or something. And that is going to be really come in handy if there was ever a case of like identification and they're going to say, well, can you prove that this is your dog, or prove that this is your cat or your lizard or your snake or whatever it might be. The other thing that is crucial is taking a picture of your pet from different angles, like maybe a picture of the face, a picture of the side of your pet, and then anything that's going to show specific markings. Because if for some reason in an emergency situation you lose your pet, or just in everyday life you lose your pet, you're going to want to use those pictures to make flyers. And you're going to want to make sure that you have most updated ones. And that's why I love this day on Saturday, because if you're someone unlike me or unlike Vanessa, who doesn't take pictures every day with their pets,
So many pictures. But anyways.
and you haven't updated a picture in 3 years of your cat Joe, then take a picture of Joe this weekend, because animals do change as they get older. Their features change, their colors change, their faces gray sometimes. And so it's really great to have a recent picture of your pet, so that if you ever are in a situation where you need to make a flyer because they're missing, I hope not, but if you do, you'll have some more recent pictures for people to help you identify your pet.
You can watch that full conversation anytime right here on WCNC Plus. Tell your friends and download it for free.
Let's check back in with Chris now to find out more about our forecast, and he has come up with a number of words to describe the heat that we're all feeling.
Let's see, which one do we like the best?
Let's see.
All right, hey, let me
Start
step
over,
out of the
Chris.
way.
Let's see.
What do you think?
Ooh, searing. Searing is
It's
good.
I like searing.
That wasn't planned, folks, by the way. That was not planned.
That was hilarious. All right, on the count of three, pick your number two. 1, 2, 3.
Stifling.
Yeah, I'd say stifling. I agree.
Man,
Yeah.
you guys are in sync.
Because listen, blazing, sultry, sweltering.
I don't like blazing.
Like we've all said that, but searing and stifling are good words.
Those are the standouts.
Like the English teachers in us like
Yeah.
those words.
Well, and Ben, when you say it fast, it almost sounded like an allergy medicine commercial. Almost.
Yes.
Blazing, sultry, sweltering, sizzling, roasting.
Right.
And baking, broiling, fiery, searing, and stifling are of some examples that you can use over the coming days. And all of them absolutely fit, especially when you have a high of 100 degrees. And the $1 million word would be coalescent, which is the building of heat. Charlotte has not really hit many 100-degree days over the last several to even 10 years. It's actually only 3 times since 2016. We hit one of the longest hiatuses in history without hitting 100, and that was from 2016 until, I'll show you the graphic. Oh, it's not coming up. It's this one right here. It was 2016 up all the way through 2021 that we had a 0 as far as 100-degree days go. But then the year before, in 2015, it's actually 5 times in June that we hit 100 plus. So we've already hit 100 once this year. We did it once last year, and then we did it once in 2022. So it's not really that often that we see this happen. Afternoons, Saturday through Wednesday, I think it's really between noon and 6 that we're going to feel the hottest. Highs are going to be right around 100 degrees. So we have 5 straight weather alert days. But this time, it's a little different than where we have been. We've already had 6 heat advisories so far for the year for Mecklenburg County and surrounding counties. This time, It's our hottest highs, and we will have a chance of trying to get to a staggering 110 degrees for our real feel. So stay cool, take breaks, more so than we even have before. I already showed you this graphic, but I also want to show you some of the longest 100-degree streaks that we've had. So save the forecast that we have that you'll see here on the 7-day forecast coming up here shortly verifies that we hit 100 degrees 5 straight days. That would actually be a record, my friends. We would tie the record set back in July of 1986 with 5 days in a row at 100 plus. 4 days have been hit 3 times, back in August 1983, July 1952, and July 1887, but 3 days in a row has happened 8 times. I think that we could at least get to 3, especially in the middle part of this stretch, but this is one of the more aggressive looking 7-day forecasts I've ever showed here on WCNC, but it's for a good reason. 100 plus 5 days in a row. This doesn't happen often, y'all, so stay cool, take it seriously. All right, that's your weather report. Now let's head over to my friend Majestic Storm to see how things are looking for your morning commute.
Good morning, everyone. Well, a few things I'm keeping a close eye on. Map is definitely busy now. If you are getting ready to head out the door, it is 7:50 in the morning. You know how it goes. Lots of people waking up, heading out the door, and now we do have multiple accidents. This one here is really jam-packing the roads. It's inbound on South Tryon Street at Arrowwood Road. You can see some paramedics are there on scene, a fire truck. I've seen a couple of police officers as well. So it's really backing that up again inbound as you're heading towards the Uptown area. There's a bigger picture of what's going on. This active crash is now a result in this left turning lane now being blocked so that they can get this situation handled and cleared. Another thing that's really starting to back people up right now is the right lane. It's blocked because of a crash. It's on I-77 southbound at exit 4, that's Nations Ford Road. Lots of red indicated there, and this is a live look of that area. So make sure you are being mindful of that as you're heading out the door. Again, I-77 there. A crash on Independence this morning, still not cleared. You know how it goes. Independence is always very busy this time of the day, so not helpful when we do have a wreck that is active at this time. And then finally, just be mindful, that right lane that's blocked because of a crash. It's I-77 southbound at exit 4, Nations Ford Road. I'll have another update coming up in a few.
Majestic things as we brace for those record high temperatures. Now is a good time to remind you that July is UV Safety Month.
WCNC Charlotte's Megan Bragg shares the everyday impact of protecting your skin and eyes from the sun.
You may have had a bad sunburn or two over the years, but Dr. Patrick Ryan with Piedmont Medical Center says too many of them can increase your risk of skin cancer.
Skin cancer is the most common form of cancer in the United States. And really, it's total sun exposure throughout your lifetime. So we don't necessarily see a seasonal variation in skin cancer diagnosis. But it is important that you do get a full skin evaluation once a year, especially if you've had more than 5 sunburns ever in your life.
Dr. Ryan shares some tips to practice safety.
Look for shade, first and foremost. Look for long sleeve shirts that are light fitting. Wide brimmed hats are also good because a lot of people don't think the most common place we find skin cancer is on the tips of your ears, the end of your nose, and on your head.
And of course, sunscreen is important to apply and reapply on a sunny day. When it comes to SPF levels, 30 SPF is the minimum recommendation.
I fall on the side of more is always better. And so but the big thing is the minimum SPF of 30, frequent applications, because if it washes off or sweats off your skin or rubs off, it's not any good anymore.
You can learn more about your risks and find a list of board-certified dermatologists on our WCNC mobile app. Megan Bragg, WCNC Charlotte.
This morning, we want to remind you about the school supply drive that we're hosting. Many students begin the school year without the supplies they really need. That's why we're partnering with United Way. You can scan that QR code that you see right there on your screen to donate now, or you can just go to our website, WCNC.com/community. You can donate until August 11th.
5 local community-focused businesses will soon be getting some much-needed help from Lowe's. One of which is the American Legion in Huntersville. It's been dedicated to supporting veterans, active duty, military, families, and the broader community for years. Lowe's Hometowns grant will help allow the nonprofit to make some upgrades.
They host so many different community events here. So as part of Lowe's Hometowns, we want to make sure that we're investing in our communities where the entire community can benefit.
Construction on the project is set to begin in August with the hopes of it being completed before Veterans Day. 7:54 right now as we take a live look right now over Uptown. Coming up next right here on WCNC Pleasant, just the last 24 hours, the U.S. Senate race here in North Carolina really starting to take shape with breaking news coming in just this morning about who the Republicans might run. That's coming your way next right here on WCNC Plus.
More clouds than yesterday, hotter and more humid than yesterday. We're looking down at some clouds from our Dallas camera. We're about 1,500 feet up in the atmosphere. So you are looking at a mixed cloud and sunshine on and off throughout the day today. 91 to 94 across the area, even 95 for you in Lancaster. And we're going to have a real feel heat index getting up to about 98 by the end of the afternoon. But hey, that's nothing. Because by tomorrow, check it out, we could pop up anywhere from 100 to 103 during the afternoon for your Friday. Friday, we're not going weather alert, nor will we have a heat advisory. That will change by the weekend because last weekend was the hottest of 2025. 100 on Saturday, 101 on Sunday, but that's not it. We're continuing with the chance for a heat advisory, even an extreme heat warning Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. So a historic stretch on the way. So enjoy a cool 94 in the meantime, Majestic. Oh, man.
I absolutely will. It's going to be a very, very hot weekend ahead. But hey, if you're heading out the door anytime soon, area roadways, oh, they are getting quite busy. Want to let you know about this ongoing accident. It's on South Tryon Street and Arrowwood Road. Inbound lanes are being impacted by that. There's a picture of what's going on. You can see a fire truck there, a couple of paramedics as well. The left lane is blocked, so make sure you're mindful of that. I-77 is moving very slowly as there was an accident on Nations Ford Road. Take it easy out there for your morning commute.
streaming live right now at 8 a.m. right here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington here with Chris Mulcahy. Now we're going to talk about Carolina Panthers because they hit the practice field for their second day of training camp.
Nick Carboni was there. He joins us now live here on WCNC Plus. And day one was pretty heated, not just because the actual temps, Nick, but there was a moment at the end of practice where a rookie got a little too close to comfort to Bryce Young. What happened?
Hey, Ben. Hey, Lisa. Good morning. Yeah, so it was kind of like a good moment, an almost really bad moment, and a teaching moment all wrapped in to one. So to give fans context, if you don't know, you can never hit your own quarterback in practice in the NFL. It doesn't matter if it's July 24th or December 24th and you're getting ready for the playoffs. That is always a no-no. And in addition to that, these practices aren't even padded yet. This is still in the acclimation phase for NFL teams like the Carolina Panthers. So there should really be no hard contact at all. So the Panthers, they need players that can get after the quarterback. There's no doubt about that. They drafted a couple of them on day 2 of the draft this year. One of them is third-round pick Princely Umanmielen from Ole Miss, and he is known for his speed. And he used that speed to blow right past a blocking offensive lineman at practice yesterday on a play. And then the next thing that a player is taught on that play is when the quarterback goes to throw, you slap his arm and knock the ball loose. So he got up to Bryce Young. Bryce Young made that start of his throwing motion, and Princely got his arm and knocked the ball loose. On Sundays this year, great. On Wednesday, July 22nd, not great. So Bryce was okay. Dave Canales used that as the end of practice, said, all right, let's call it there. And look, I've seen guys hit players, not even the quarterback in training camp, too hard and get thrown out of practice. This was not one of those moments. Dave Canales, when he was asked what the conversation was like, he was like, it was a conversation with grace. He told the young player, great job getting to the quarterback. Don't hit the quarterback. So, Bryce wasn't on the ground. Bryce didn't appear to be hurt by it at all. But again, with everything kind of riding on your quarterback in the NFL, especially with the Panthers trying to figure out if Bryce Young is the franchise quarterback long term, you don't want to see him contacted on the first day of practice, no doubt.
You have to protect that quarterback at all costs. Take care of him.
And it's hard. It's hard when these guys are trained to just go 100%, right, to have them drop it down to 0 just like that. So almost every year there is a moment like that, and it usually involves a rookie who is just, in that moment forgetting, I got to pull back right now. And some of the veteran players pull them aside too. Yeah, very excited. And honestly, I think that's a good thing. It's just you got to pull it back right at that last second.
Right, a teachable moment for sure. Oh, okay, so apparently Coach Dave Canales says something that piqued the interest of a lot of Panthers fans. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so if you remember Tuesday, General Manager Dan Morgan kind of made a state of the franchise type opening statement at his news conference. And he didn't mention the word playoffs, and talked about, the team's goals this year and to be a tough and competitive football team. It is year 2 of all of this. And year 1, although there were signs of progress, they were 5-12. They finished 3rd in their division. They did not really come close to making the playoffs. Dave Canales yesterday had a quote where he basically said, teams aren't going to want to play us. And I thought that was really interesting. And he was speaking to the toughness and competitiveness that he believes his team will have. And he said the sky is the limit for this team. Now, some of that comes from, he's the coach of this team. Of course, he thinks that they're going to be successful. But it seemed like a concerted effort from Canales to set the tone right away for his players on day 1 of training camp. And some of them have told us previously, like, we're tired of being the same old Panthers. That's what Adam Thielen told us a couple of months ago. And when J.C. Horn heard about Dave Canales' comments about teams aren't going to want to play us this year, he perked up too, just like fans did, and said, yeah, we're tired of being on the wrong side of history. We don't want it to be easy to play against us. We don't want to be one of those easy games on the schedule. And when Dan Morgan and Dave Canales took this team over 2 years ago, they said it point blank in their opening press conference together. Dan Morgan especially, because he knows what the bank looks like when it's a tough place for teams to play. And they both said then, they wanted to come back to that. So I think they want to set that tone now and hope to get to that point here in year 2 of this process.
We brought up one key word yesterday, fun. And we were kind of name dropping this earlier. As Red Sox fans, the best team that they had was 2013, 2018, and they were having fun as a team. And as the kids would say, what were the vibes at camp? Were they vibing?
Yeah, I think everybody's more comfortable with each other. And I think maybe I talked about it last hour. I'm not sure. I'm still waking up. Sorry. There's trash talk at the beginning of practice. J.C. Horn, Bryce Young, and that's something we didn't see last year at all, really, especially from Bryce Young. And we saw a little bit of that at the beginning of practice yesterday, and I think we will absolutely see it continue. So you want the vibes to be like everybody, is a family at these practices between these players, but also really competitive. You want it to start to feel like you're watching a game on Sunday when you're at these practice fields. So I think we'll start to see that a little bit. But yeah, I would say comfortability and continuity are the vibes. It's just been so long since we haven't been at training camp explaining to everybody, here's who the new coach is, here's who the new quarterback is, here's who the new general manager is. Largely, it is the same team and same organization, and that stability gets you on the right track to success.
And we've seen a lot of that at the end of last season too, like that. And Nick brought this up yesterday. That no-look touchdown where he turned around, put his arms up, was one of the greatest Panthers moments I've ever seen. I think, Nick, I think we're going to see a lot more of those. And continue to do a great job, man. I appreciate it. We're going to break that 10-year streak of maybe not going to the Super Bowl.
Right.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, you're optimistic. Yeah. And Bryce, he's definitely, you see him having fun with football again, and that is a huge sign for this team. He's got to keep that going.
Just don't lay your hands on him in practice.
Don't touch him.
Right. Hopefully yesterday was the only time that happens.
That's right. All right. Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. All right. How about the forecast? You've got your hands full.
You really do.
No, I really do, but that's okay. Like 17 days in a row at 90 plus. But I was like, you know what? That's not enough. Let's do more.
But wait, there's more.
Wait, of course, and there's more. Yeah, 17 is just the beginning because we're going to be at least the next 7 days or so that we're going to be hitting this 90-degree plus mark. Let's even move it over to 100. But we've already done this. We hit 17 days in a row, and then we cooled off. If we didn't hit that 86-degree point from the outskirts of Chantal, we would be talking about the longest streak ever, and that dates all the way back to 1993. So here, real quick, I want to bring up that list. So here's the master list of the longest 90-degree stretches dating back to 1879. 33 days in 1993. 2007, we had 32 days in a row. 1986, which was the second hottest July on record, that was 31. Well, since we're already at 17, we're about to crack the top 10 today. And then if we make it to the end of the 7-day forecast, which is looking more than likely, we're talking about 25 days in a row. So that brings us up to the number 4 spot. So welcome to history, everybody. It's a historic July, a historic stretch, and we could even have a historic run of 100 plus. Not maybe the records that you want to have, but if we're going to be hot, might as well make the history books, right? 94 degrees, nothing historic, really nothing too abnormal. The normal high for this time of year is 90, but that usually fluctuates anywhere from the upper 80s to the lower to the mid 90s. Just this year, we ditched the 80s pretty much entirely. Now, you will feel like the 80s heading into the afternoon. Real feel is actually starting to get into the 90s at that point, and then 93, 94 by the end of the afternoon with a lot more mix of clouds and sunshine compared to what we had yesterday. Check it out for our future cast. You will have a chance for a developing storm, but not much really popping up here. So let's call it a chance for an isolated storm during the afternoon, and then a few more later on in the evening. If you get hit by one, they're going to be very brief. These are literally those popcorn kernel type storms that start to develop. Tomorrow looks like a better chance. Again, we could deal with a little bit more cloud cover. It's the clouds, the one thing that's going to really jeopardize us getting up to that 100-degree point over the coming days, because it's still hot and humid, and that heat and humidity will rise up, and it's called differential heating. The differential heating is going to heat some areas a little bit more than others, and then once you start to get those clouds, that'll heat more areas more than others, and that allows some of those cumulus clouds to grow more than others. And the ones that grow the tallest usually will turn into either a rainstorm or into a thunderstorm, or in general a cumulonimbus cloud. We'll keep rain chances around really anywhere between about noon and 8 o'clock tomorrow before things start to wind down. Tomorrow, interesting day. High temperatures getting up to about 95, 96 to 97 for our highs, but we're feeling like that 100-degree mark, and then we're really soaring after that. But this weekend is going to be the hottest weekend so far in 2025, and really one of the hottest weekends that we had in recent memory. Last weekend, 96, 98, that was hot. We had heat advisories then. Well, we're even on the cusp of an excessive heat warning. Coming up, I'll have a little bit more about what exactly an excessive heat warning is and the last time that we had one. But this is crazy. 100, 101, 100, 101, 100. I'm just repeating myself. So enjoy 94 while we have you. That's why I was just over the top yesterday about the pick of the week, because yesterday you're not going to have another day like that for a while. But the back end of the forecast, we're talking about days 9 and 10. We'll have a shot to fall back to the upper 80s. And majestic. Imagine what 89 will feel like after this run.
It's going to feel so nice. Kind of a rinse and repeat forecast. So, Chris, maybe you just had the next 5 days off during that time, because it's going to be really hot. I mean, not a lot of changes day to day. You can see area roadways, though. We got some changes right now if you're heading out the door. A few things to let you know about. This crash right here, it's still ongoing. It's inbound lane, South Tryon Street at Arrowwood Road. You can see a fire truck there, a couple of paramedics also on scene. So really keeping a close eye on that. Right now, the left turning lane is currently blocked because of this active crash. Another thing that I really have been watching is I-77 near Nations Ford Road. We did have an earlier crash that was impacting southbound lanes. It has since been cleared, but you can still see traffic is moving quite slowly at this time. As we're heading north of Uptown now, I-485, we have an accident, a newer one. It's on the outer lanes at Oakdale Road. That's exit 18, but it's backed all the way up to exit 21. We're seeing a lot of red with that, meaning that cars are just moving very slowly, kind of that stop and go traffic. Another crash right in Uptown. It's now at Mint Street at the Brookshire Freeway, so we'll continue to keep a close eye on that. I-77 coming in from York County looks like this. Grab those sunglasses. It's going to be a beautiful start to the morning, and drive safe as you're heading out the door.
Majestic, thanks. 8:12 now. Here, new on WCNC Plus. In just the last 24 hours, the U.S. Senate race here in North Carolina is really taking shape. Just this morning, Politico revealing current GOP chairman, former NC GOP chairman Michael Whatley will announce he's running in the next week or so. It says he's already secured the president's endorsement. That will likely keep a lot of other Republicans from running. That also means the president's daughter-in-law, Laura Trump, also Wilmington native, has decided not to run. Whatley is a Watauga County native, UNC Charlotte grad. The news comes just a day after reports indicate that former Governor Roy Cooper would be announcing his run as well. Now, both candidates would still need to secure their party's primary. The 2026 race, widely considered to be one of the most high-profile and most expensive in the country. Live pictures right now over the White House, where President Trump trying to shift focus this morning, talking trade and AI, but the Epstein controversy is still front and center. A new report says the president knew his name was in the files and knew it several months ago. As NBC's Alice Barr explains, now lawmakers on both sides are trying to make those records public.
New developments this morning in the push for transparency in the Jeffrey Epstein case, coming from both sides of the aisle.
I mean, you'd have to have your head in the sand to say that this is going to go away.
In a bipartisan vote, a House subcommittee moved to subpoena the Justice Department to release full files on the notorious sex offender. Also seeking subpoenas for high-profile names including former President Clinton and a string of past attorneys general, having already subpoenaed convicted Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell for a deposition next month. The Deputy Attorney General is expected to meet with her soon. An attorney who represented more than 200 Epstein victims says they are deeply anxious that Maxwell could be pardoned.
What incentive does she have to tell him anything if she's getting nothing out of it?
That as the Wall Street Journal is out with new reporting that President Trump is named in the Justice Department's Epstein files. The paper, citing senior administration officials, also notes that Attorney General Pam Bondi told the president in May that his name appears multiple times along with many other high-profile figures. President Trump was asked about that last week.
Did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the file?
No, she's given us just a very quick briefing.
A DOJ official tells NBC News a mention of anyone would not necessarily suggest wrongdoing, and the Attorney General said nothing in the files warranted further investigation or prosecution, while the White House is roundly rejecting the Journal's reporting.
In another development, a federal judge in Florida rejected the Justice Department's request to have secret grand jury transcripts unsealed from the Epstein investigation. President Trump wanted the records public, seeking to satisfy his own supporters' loud calls for the full Epstein files. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Time now, 8:15. We've learned the man at the center of this viral video being punched by officers attends Livingstone College in Salisbury. 22-year-old William McNeil Jr. was pulled over by Jacksonville, Florida police back in February, according to the arrest report, in part because his headlights were off in the rain. You can see officers break McNeil's window, punch him in the face, and drag him out of that car. Yesterday, he spoke publicly for the first time with his family and civil rights attorneys by his side.
That day, I just really wanted to know, why I was getting pulled over and why I needed to step out the car when I know I didn't do nothing wrong. I was really just scared.
This was a classic case of driving while black. Yep. To the sheriff, respectfully, you can't justify this. You can't condone this. You have to condemn this.
Again, McNeil is a student at Livingstone College in Salisbury. The school's president also speaking out on this incident live on WCNC Plus.
But we see in that video that his rights were violated.
Yes, they were.
But he showed us restraint. Yes. He showed us a little resolve, yes. Showed us resistance.
Yes.
But you know what he's showing us today by standing here tall and strong?
Come on, Dr. Davis.
That he's resilient.
That's that part.
Which means he's going to bounce back. And so, my appeal, first of all, I want this family to know that the entire Blue Bear Nation stands with Will. Mm-hmm. We stand with you. Mm-hmm. And we believe in what Dr. King said, an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
Yes, sir.
Just know this. There are consequences, and repercussions for your actions. Mm-hmm. On my campus, I haven't had a fight since I've been president in 3 years. You know why? My students know that any act of violence, there are consequences and repercussions. Mm-hmm. They know that they go home. Mm-hmm. At minimum, the sheriff who assaulted Will needs to go home.
Yes,
Attorneys are now calling for the immediate termination of the officer who punched McNeil in that video.
South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson joining several other states in an effort to keep racial and sexual content out of public schools. The group backing a rule that bans spending money on materials that teach any race or sex is better or worse than any other. The NAACP pushing back this morning, saying it violates their First Amendment rights. The attorneys general argue states have the right to decide what's taught in classrooms. 8:18 right now. Turning back to your forecast, and Chris, in for a continued hot stretch of weather.
Yeah, hot as a ghost pepper, which, by the way, the Ghost Peppers are playing one more match today, and that is versus the Legends. 6:30 is the time, and temperatures at that point are still going to be around 89, and it feels like 93. 92 could feel as much as 97. So we do have that heat index that is very much thriving today compared to what we had yesterday. But then the real heat arrives this weekend. The Ghost Peppers will be out of town. Our heat alerts will likely start this weekend. So one of two things will happen. We're either going to have a heat advisory. This is the most likely. That's where you have a maximum heat index getting up to about 105, or we have our first extreme heat warning. I looked. We haven't had one of these in a while. It was 2023 that we had our last, it was called an excessive heat warning back then. And then before that, it was 2012 that we had one of these. See, these are quite rare that we actually have them for Mecklenburg County and for Greenville-Spartanburg's National Weather Service office. They're a lot more common over in Raleigh, and they actually had one of those earlier on this season. But check out our peak heat index. I have 108 on Sunday. We're going to have an actual real high of 101. So yeah, I think we're going to be very close to not just a heat advisory, but a warning for this heat. So this isn't just what we've been dealing with. Oh, it's hot for the July. No, this is uncommonly hot, where we typically don't have this many runs of 100 degrees. It's all because of the upper level pattern. You probably heard it before, the heat dome that sometimes can create the ring of fire, creating storms around. Well, that's not affecting us. We're right in the middle of it. You have a chance for an isolated pop-up shower or thunderstorm, but it's really not until the back end of the forecast. This brings us through next Thursday that we'll see a little bit of a dip. This will start to break off a little bit, allowing us to start to cool off. And then if we can get a front to pass through the area, especially a cool front, that's going to cool us down. That's exactly kind of where we're headed in the near term. So that upper level pattern is going to be really tough to break. And that's why we're going to see so many consecutive days right around that 100-degree point. So just stay as cool as possible, though, even though it's not going to be a great run. So check it out. Our 10-day forecast. This is absolutely crazy, y'all. This is why we're weather alert for 5 days, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. After that, we start to see a transition for the last day of July. Eventually, we'll have a chance of falling back into the 80s, breaking our record stretch. At that point, it will be about day 25 of 90-plus in a row. As far as our lows go, this is an insane low. 80 degrees, that would be a record warm start. Actually, multiple record warm lows expected Saturday through Wednesday before we start to get a little bit close to where we should be, around 70 degrees, even seeing the 60s once more. As far as our rain chances go, this is the indications that a front is passing the area. Whenever you see a spike like that, likely a front's driving into that heat to end the month. So July has been special, has been a little extra, as people will say. And it looks like I was crunching some of the numbers where our forecast is trending. We could even pass 1986, where this likely is going to finish as the second hottest July in Charlotte history. And Majestic, that dates back 146 years.
Ooh, wow. Well, we're definitely into it, that's for sure. We're going to be watching that for you over the next several days. Want to let you know that this active crash that I've been talking about for a while now has since been cleared, so no more problems with this. Want to still show you several accidents so on my traffic map. I-77 near Nations Ford Road. You can see it's moving very slowly. There was also another crash here. It has since been cleared, but you can see traffic is still moving very slowly this morning. Lots of accidents as people are heading out the doors, so really just take it easy, slow it down, drive with caution, make sure you're paying attention. I-485, the outer loop, you can see the red right here because of an accident. It's at Oakdale Road. That's exit 18, but it's backed up all the way to exit 21, slowing people down about 5 minutes this morning. And then a crash here on Mint Street, right in the Uptown area. That is mainly just bringing a small slowdown. They did get the car off to the side, so I'm not too concerned about it. And then another one here, Tryon Street. That small crash is still indicated mainly in green, so people are still able to get right around it. I-77 is a beautiful start to the morning if you're coming in from York County and South Carolina. Good morning to you. This is what I'm watching now. I'll have another update coming up here in just a few.
Majestic, thanks. It is time to connect the dots. That's when we make the news make sense. What you search online could decide how much you pay, but a new push in Congress is taking aim at surveillance pricing.
Your online data could soon change how much you pay, even for everyday items. Let's connect the dots. It's called surveillance pricing. Companies track things like your location, browsing history, and search habits, then use that data to charge you more. For example, if you recently searched for diapers, you might see a higher price than someone who didn't. But a new bill in Congress would ban that. Representative Greg Casar says AI shouldn't be used to set prices based on your personal info. He also wants to stop employers from using AI to set wages based on things like your financial background. Some states, like New York and California, are already cracking down on the practice, but many companies say personalized pricing just helps them offer better deals. Bottom line, this is a growing issue, and what you don't know about your data could be costing you. And that's connecting the dots.
Top Chef coming here to North Carolina for its 23rd season. Production is going to be based here in Charlotte. A few episodes filmed down in Greenville. Filming starts this summer, and the season is set to premiere 2026. Chefs will go head-to-head as they do in challenges designed to test their culinary skills, creativity, and knowledge of regional ingredients.
That got us to thinking, what are the meals that we would make to wow the judges? And honestly, now we can't make these. We enjoy eating them. But in a dream world, here are the meals that we would make.
For quintessential Carolina cooking is what we're talking about, folks.
That's right.
You might agree with this. I said go with Calabash seafood. That needs to be represented at some point, one of the big staples of coastal cooking. And you went another direction, but the same general idea.
A nice low country crab boil, peach cobbler, Carolina gold rice, and some Blenheim ginger ale.
There you go. You heard it here first.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, but keep it right here on WCNC Plus. We'll be back with the day's top headlines at 8:30. We're also going to have another check of weather and traffic.
Well, good morning, everybody. Back at it again. We're expecting high temperatures to be about 94 today, by 97 tomorrow. And that's actually going to be a real feel for today. Today, you're feeling as much as 98 degrees, mix of cloud and sunshine, slight chance for an isolated shower or storm. And then by tomorrow, check out the real feel. Actually feeling more like the triple digits, 100 to 103. And then through the weekend, we can feel as much as 108 to 109 about how hot we actually feel. And what's interesting about this stretch that we're about to head into on Saturday, for one, Saturday through Wednesday, we're challenging 100 degrees each and every day. Saturday, we're calling for 100. That's actually the record, and that was set back in the early 2000s. And then after that, we're really close, within a degree or two of the record set for those days in climatology. Then we're done with July on Thursday, but boy, are we looking at a big surge. This is one of the hottest 7 days I've ever done here in my career, and certainly here in the Charlotte area. 100 plus each and every day, Saturday through Wednesday. Please stay weather alert, stay cool, and just stay safe. This is really excessive heat, more so than what we're used to. Majestic, take it away. What's going on?
All right, well, we are keeping a close eye on I-485, the outer loop specifically, as there is an ongoing accident. It's at Oakdale Road. That's exit 18. It's backed up all the way to exit 21. We do have paramedics there on scene. It looks like maybe a person or two may have gotten hurt, so we're going to continue to learn more about that, and I hope you'll join us over on WCNC Plus as we continue to give you the very latest. Hope to see you then.
Thanks for streaming live on WCNC Plus at 8:30. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson. A warning this morning about the food you might be eating. From South End to Uptown, street food scene here is booming, but not all of it is necessarily safe.
WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards is live this morning, and Destiny, health officials warn that many of these food vendors don't have the proper permits.
Yeah, the food you're getting might smell great, it might taste amazing, but it's what you're not seeing on your plate that could really make you sick. And health officials say this especially comes down to those illegal pop-up vendors that are kind of flying under the radar. Mecklenburg County Public Health says they've seen an uptick in complaints about these unlicensed food vendors, mostly in Uptown and South End between 8 p.m. and 2 a.m. These vendors aren't subject to health inspections, meaning there is no oversight on sanitation, hand washing, or safe cooking temperatures. Licensed food trucks are required to display a scorecard that shows they've met basic safety standards, but pop-up vendors don't follow those rules, and officials say that puts you at risk for foodborne illness. Those who do follow the rules say it's frustrating to compete with vendors who don't.
Us food truck owners can tell kind of who's legit and who's not. When people come out here and they don't do it the right way, then it just looks bad on all of us.
And health officials are just urging you to look out for that posted scorecard before you order your food. And if you don't spot one, you're asked to report it to 311. Ben, Lisa.
All right, Destiny Richards, thanks so much for that. I think you said it best. It might not be top of mind to look for that scorecard when you're out and you're having fun, but, you know, something to think about.
Something to think about. All right, Destiny, thank you. 8:32 right now on WCNC Plus, and turning to Chris. And Chris, we've not seen a forecast like this in probably 10 years.
Yep, 2015 was the last time that we had multiple 100-degree days in a given year. And on top of that, that was the last time that we had consecutive 100-degree days. Now, it wasn't during the month of July. Last time that we did that for consecutive days is actually back in 2012. But our current temperature is 76 degrees. So it's a warm start. We've gained 1 degree over the last hour. 72 right around Lincoln, and 71 for you in Statesville. Today, we're not there. 94 degrees in Charlotte, 90 degrees in Salisbury, and then we'll feel as much as 98 today. Mixed clouds and sunshine, so at times it will be cloudier than others, not as breathtakingly beautiful as our pick of the week yesterday. Hopefully we're able to get outside and enjoy it. So far this July, we have averaged 84 degrees. So that's solidifying us as the third hottest July, and with us hitting multiple days at 100, we don't have to worry about sliding off this list. We actually have a good chance of warming up to number 2, or heating up, I think is a better way to put it. I'm projecting our final total to be around 84.9 degrees, factoring in our highs and lows, because check this out. 94 is actually the coolest high I have over the next 7 to 8 days. That's ridiculous. And then you're right around 100 degrees. Even if we only hit 99 or 98 on some of these days, you're still calling for a heat index getting up to about 105, which is right around the danger zone. That's why we're going to be under a heat advisory really for the foreseeable future. Likely at least your Saturday through Tuesday, and then Wednesday is the likelihood as well. So the longest stretches at 100 degrees. So let's just say that does come to fruition. We're talking about a historic stretch. The 7-day forecast that we have isn't just really hot, it's historically hot. The most days in a row at 100 plus in Charlotte history dates back to July 1986. What were you doing then, or were you around? 4 days is a 3-way tie for 1983, 1952, and 1887. But 3 days in a row has been done actually 8 times. In recent history, it was 2015, 2012, I just mentioned it not too long ago, and 2007. That's how much of a rarity it is to hit multiple days at 100, so just keep that in mind. Today, feeling like 98. Tomorrow, 102, but then we're weather alert, heat advisory is starting on Saturday. 106, 108, 106, that's crazy talk. And the hottest that we felt so far in Charlotte, as far as a recorded heat index, was 109 point something. I can't exactly remember the exact number, but we rounded that up to around 110. Now, going forward, we're still going to be rocking that excessive heat for the afternoons, but it's also a concern for our lows. Not tomorrow. Tomorrow we're at 75 degrees. That's just fine. But believe it or not, it's really the mid to the upper 70s to around 80 degrees that are actually the record warm lows, because we should be averaging about 70 degrees. The lows don't really fluctuate this time of year, and we actually been closer to records than where we should be for our lows. But this time, 77 is our forecast low for Saturday. 76 is the record warm low. 79, 76, 80, 78. The blue numbers are all higher than the red, meaning that our forecasted lows all could break the record low or record warm low that we have for that given day in climatology. Real quick, we were mentioning this stat earlier. There's been a lot of rain up in the mountains. Boone has actually seen up to 6 inches of rain since July 1st and over 34 inches since January 1st. That's the 13th most in each category. It dates back to 1980. Now, the good news for the mountains who do not need any rain for the near term, talked to some city council members that they were saying the infrastructure and building has been an issue with the rain. Well, this is a good forecast for you then. We do have a chance for an isolated storm. Now, any pop-up storm could be a torrential downpour. It could be inconvenient, but it's not going to last all that long. That I'm not really seeing anything long range. For right now, we did pick up on a little chance for rain. You see a quick little burst of an outflow boundary there, but nothing really huge. I think the chances for rain are really going to be a possibility starting in the middle of the afternoon. But look at this. You barely see any green popping up here on the map. This is a very low chance. I think the highest chance truly is between 7 and midnight. You could have a shower, and many of you might be eating dinner or going to bed at that point. And then by tomorrow, the earliest we see a storm is by the early to middle of the afternoon. I think Friday's chances for rain are much higher than what we have today, and the same thing goes for your Saturday. Whenever we're super hot and humid, you have a chance for pop-up showers and thunderstorms. Sometimes you can be a little bit too hot in the mid-levels for storms to pop, but that doesn't really look to be the case, at least for your Friday and Saturday. As far as how much rain we could see, I would say anywhere from 0 to just a few hundredths of an inch, but some areas, if you get a few of those popcorn kernel storms that are slow moving, we could have up to, say, a ½ inch of rain for the maximum, but nothing really big. Rain is not the big story here. You know what the big story is. We're weather alert for 5 straight days for some of the hottest weather that we have had in Charlotte history. A chance for 5 days at 100 is just absolute insanity. And as I just showed you, a historic stretch. Majestic, take it away. And I joked earlier, you're wearing weather alert red, so thank you.
Exactly. I might have to wear it for 5 days in a row now. All right. I do want to let you know about an active scene. We have an accident that's ongoing. This is I-485, the outer loop. I've been talking about this one for a while, but now we have a camera on it. This is at mile marker 19. You can see emergency responders are there on scene. It seems like multiple cars were involved with this wreck. I'm still noticing that traffic is able to get around it. It's just moving rather slowly, and they have at least one lane blocked off right now as they are continuing to clear this ongoing crash. So again, want to show you as we're looking at my live traffic map where exactly this is. So north of Charlotte, I-485, this is the outer loop. The wreck out there at exit 18 to 19, right around Oakdale Road, but it is backed up now to exit 21 to 22. So a lot of red continuing to build. Again, cars are still able to move through. They're just moving rather slowly. In the uptown area, we do have a crash there on Mint Street, but the car is off to the side and cars are able to get around it all right. But Tryon Street and Presley Road, a new crash now popping up, and I'm seeing a lot of that red continuing to build, so I will have eyes on that one for a while now. If you take Providence Road, we now have a new accident there in Whiskey Lane, starting to see some yellow build, meaning that there are some medium impacts. If you're traveling on I-77 coming in from York County, good morning to you. This is what it looks like. Live looks right now. It's beautiful, not seeing any big problems right now. I'll give you another check on those area roadways coming up here in just a few.
All right, Majestic, thanks so much. Right now, 2 kids, including a 5-year-old, are recovering after a fireworks incident at a park in Clover. This morning, police say 2 16-year-olds are to blame. WCNC Charlotte's Siobhan Riley spoke with parents who say they no longer feel safe letting their kids go to the park.
We thought it was a bomb, honestly.
This man, who doesn't want to show his face because of fear of retaliation, says he was inside his home playing video games with his little cousins Tuesday night when a 5- and 13-year-old were hurt by fireworks at Roosevelt Park around 7:30.
I was like, what was that noise? Because we was in the house. We heard it from all the way down there. Make you feel like you can't trust people at the park.
You can play for a few more minutes and we're going to go play. You want mommy to push you?
Cassie Kilburn, who lives in the neighborhood, takes her 2 children to the park weekly.
Oh, say hi. First thought is it's scary, right? Like my kids are super little. They're 2 and 5. So to think if they were in the vicinity or something.
She says it's disturbing to learn 2 16-year-olds were shooting the fireworks.
Fireworks in general can be dangerous if not, supervised properly.
Police say the 2 teen suspects were given juvenile petitions and released to their parents. This man, who takes visits to the park with his 3 cousins, says though the situation could have been worse, he's relieved knowing the victims weren't seriously hurt, and he hopes the suspects learn their lesson.
It's making people want bringing the kids to the park, making the community less safe. It's kind of, excuse my language, but stupid.
Siobhan Riley, WCNC Charlotte.
8:40 right now on WCNC Plus, and we've learned a man is now facing charges this morning after a crash involving a CMPD patrol SUV. This is video from that scene. It happened yesterday on Independence Boulevard near Briar Creek. We're now learning Thomas Royster is accused of driving under the influence when he caused a crash that injured 2 officers. We know 1 person was taken to the hospital, but at this point, we're still working to find out if that was Royster or one of the officers.
A new development proposal in Cornelius is stirring up debate this morning, not over what's being built, but how big it would be. The 6-story building is planned for the corner of Chaton and Bethel Church Road, bringing a mix of condos and commercial space. Neighbors worry it would be too tall and could change the small town feel of the area.
There are several lots that are for sale right now in the vicinity. So if you allow this 6-story building, then you've set the precedent for other 6-story buildings to come in. And I'm just concerned that in 3, 4, 5 years, it's going to look like a series of high rises.
The developer says shrinking the building would doom the project. Neighbors will have another chance to voice their thoughts on August 4th.
This morning, CMS scrambling to cover a $12.5 million funding gap. And if you're a parent here in Charlotte, this could have major impacts for your kids this fall. WCNC Charlotte's Julie Cage spoke with school officials and a student about the possible changes.
Quentin Canty's senior year at West Charlotte should be full of learning and planning for his future. He says it's also full classes.
I'm in the IB class, and I was in the IB class my junior year. Our class sizes were 30 plus.
Canty says resources already feel strained in places, so he's worried about the impact of the freeze in federal grants. Attorney General Jeff Jackson is suing the administration over that freeze, saying it could result in 1,000 educators being let go statewide. Kelly Klutz, chief financial officer for the district, says their plan means that won't happen at CMS this year.
If we're cut the $12.5 million, it will be deep and it will be painful, and every student could feel that impact.
The district is using carryover funds from last year. They're also not filling vacant positions and redistributing millions to essential needs. However, that won't work for the next school year. If funding isn't released by then, Klutz says they'll have to make budget changes.
Out of Title II, 3, and 4, we will have to find another resource, a funding resource, or a place for more than 60 people.
Canty says students are already wondering what that looks like for them, but hope this is temporary.
We're going to lose some things. We got to think of, hey, this is happening, so now we have to adjust to them until it comes back.
For WCNC Charlotte, I'm Julie Kay.
A former pet grooming employee is facing charges this morning after video online appeared to show her mistreating dogs at work. Kirsten Taylor is now charged with animal cruelty. The incident happened at Classy Critters Pet Resort and Spa in Mooresville. Social media video shows Taylor hitting the dogs and handling them roughly. The business responded on Facebook, calling that behavior unacceptable. Taylor has since been fired.
As temperatures rise, the risk of heat stroke in children and pets left in cars becomes a serious concern. Paula Tristan Aruda reports.
We do have specialized pet masks.
It's an emergency call both Orange County Animal Services and Orange County Fire Rescue respond to, especially during these hot summer months.
Just in the past year, Orange County Fire Rescue has removed 70 children from vehicles and over 50 animals that we responded to remove.
On Wednesday, both agencies partnered and held a demonstration to remind folks about the dangers of leaving children and animals unattended in vehicles.
The average pet core temperature is around 101. It's 100 to 101 overheating. That is anything over 102.5. We particularly see what we call heat stress around 103, 104. When they start getting above 104, like 104.5 going up, we would start calling that heat stroke.
Children's body temperature can go up 3 to 5 times faster than an adult. So if you leave your child in a car for just a few minutes, that is a really dangerous, life-threatening situation, especially in these heats in the summer.
Leaving kids and pets alone is both dangerous and illegal. Officials say it can take minutes for the heat to rise and for little ones to feel the effects. So they say, let this be a reminder of what to do instead.
Just don't do it if you don't have to. Make sure you absolutely positively have to bring said child, said animal with you. We recommend take them with you when you vacate the vehicle.
So one of my one things that we do over on WCNC Plus was today's high of 94 is the coolest over the next 7 days. That's insane. First off, saying coolest when you're talking about 94 just seems like insanity in its own right. But if you look at this chart, it makes sense. Now, this is the 10-day outlook. It looks like we could be back to actually multiple days in the 80s. I'm only talking about 2 for right now, but that's August 1st and August 2nd. So the crazy thing is, as soon as we are chiming over to August, we are starting to see some cooler weather, because this July, if you don't like the extreme heat, has been a nightmare, where we have 146 Julys on record, including this one. And it looks like this one's going to be at least the 3rd hottest, but I think it'd take a step further. Factoring in our highs and our lows, it does look like we are going to have the potential of moving up to the number 2 spot, and that's a historic year too, because 1986 actually holds something very special in Charlotte history. 1986 in July had 5 days in a row of 100 degrees. So that's exactly what we're calling for now. Now there's multiple factors, more clouds, a few storms that could develop that could keep us at 98, 99. It's still going to be a historic stretch and one of the hottest streaks that we've had in over a decade. The last time that we had even multiple 100-degree days in a given year was back in 2015. So regardless, it's going to be a historic run, even if it's a couple degrees off from where we're at. 4 days in a row, that happened 3 times in 1983, 1952, and 1887. And then there's been 8 times we've done 3 days in a row or more. So that's, again, we're calling for 100 degrees plus. And I was mentioning this yesterday a little bit here on our Plus channel, that it's called the 100-degree machine. So once you turn it on, it's really tough to turn it off. You literally need a front or some sort of transition to try to chill things down, and that's exactly what we're looking at. So you see a downtick in temperatures. It looks like at that point we're going to start to see a dip in the temperatures because of a front, and that's why we also have an elevated risk for rain on the 31st heading into August 1st. So likely heading into this weekend, we're either going to have a heat advisory. I think that's the base, where we have a heat index up to about 105, but some areas in the Carolinas will be under an extreme heat warning, where this heat indices can get as much as 110 degrees. We've had multiple days that have been in the hundreds so far this year, where we've actually had close to 60 hours with a real feel of over 100 degrees. It hasn't been a cool month whatsoever, but we are definitely heading into a historic stretch that it's not often that you're going to see a 7-day forecast that looks like this. We're weather alert for all 5 of these days, of course, where you have a chance to get to 100 degrees and then feeling as much as 100 to 109, with again a chance for maybe challenging that 110, which is the hottest that we've been so far this year. So as far as the stretches of the days go, this is one that really stands out from all the rest. So I want everyone to maybe take extra caution than you did before. We're used to it being hot. Don't get me wrong. We've had a lot of hot days. It's already added up to the 3rd hottest July, but this is different. It's not often that you get this hot. Ben actually brought up a real interesting question earlier. He says, what's more likely, snow here in Charlotte or a 100-degree day? Well, as far as measurable snowfall goes over the last 25 years, we've done it 59 times, 59 days in Charlotte, again, since 2000. Well, we've only done a 100-degree day 25 times. Putting that in perspective. So this is very rare, especially doing it this many days in a row. Stay cool. Now let's head over to our morning traffic that is also heating up.
All right, everyone. Good morning to you. Want to break down a few things that we are watching for you. First things first, take a look at your TV screen. This is an active crash right here. It's I-485, the outer loop at mile marker 19. This is a live look right now where you can see there has been an accident with many cars involved. Emergency responders are there on scene, multiple police officers. Looks like they're trying to get that car that's in that middle center area where there's grass out of it. Right now, one lane is blocked. I can still see 2 lanes open. The cars are just moving rather slowly. So continuing to watch that very carefully for you. Again, this is the outer loop of I-485 at mile marker 19. Now, as we switch it over to my live traffic map, just putting into perspective where it's at. It's right here where we have all of this red here between really mile marker 18 and 21 is where it's really congested at this point. In addition to that, something new that's now popping up, more information, is that Mint Street is closed in front of Bank of America Stadium because of a crash, likely involving a motorcycle. We are actually sending out some of our WCNC crew to the scene to see what else we can learn from that. But again, that's one ongoing crash that we're really watching for you carefully. Here on Tryon Street and Presley Road, a crash is backing roads up quite a bit, seeing a lot of that yellow and orange popping up, indicating that cars are moving rather slowly because of that ongoing crash. And then finally, just want to highlight this one. It's on Providence Road and Whiskey Lane, where that backup is now about a 5-minute delay.
Hi, this is Larry Sprinkle. Time for On This Day in History. We go back to July 24th, the year 1969. Apollo 11 returns after the very first moon landing that was splashed down in the Pacific Ocean on this day in 1969. By the way, that lunar landing, the Apollo 11 moon landing, was Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin with Michael Collins in the command module. This picture taken as Buzz Aldrin salutes the American flag, taken by Neil Armstrong. On this day in history, it was the splashdown of Apollo 11 after the very successful moon landing. And that's what happened on this day in history. I'm Larry Sprinkle.
As we brace for record high temperatures, now is a good time to remind you that July is UV Safety Month.
WCNC Charlotte's Megan Bragg shares the everyday impact of protecting our skin and eyes from the sun.
You may have had a bad sunburn or two over the years, but Dr. Patrick Ryan with Piedmont Medical Center says too many of them can increase your risk of skin cancer.
Skin cancer is the most common form of cancer in the United States. And really, it's total sun exposure throughout your lifetime. So we don't necessarily see a seasonal variation in skin cancer diagnosis. But it is important that you do get a full skin evaluation once a year, especially if you've had more than 5 sunburns ever in your life.
Dr. Ryan shares some tips to practice safety.
Look for shade, first and foremost. Look for long sleeve shirts that are light fitting. Wide brimmed hats are also good, because a lot of people don't think the most common place we find skin cancer is on the tips of your ears, the end of your nose, and on your head.
And of course, sunscreen is important to apply and reapply on a sunny day. When it comes to SPF levels, 30 SPF is the minimum recommendation.
I fall on the side of more is always better. And so but the big thing is the minimum SPF of 30, frequent applications, because if it washes off or sweats off your skin or rubs off, it's not any good anymore.
You can learn more about your risks and find a list of board-certified dermatologists on our WCNC mobile app. Megan Bragg, WCNC Charlotte.
This morning, we want to remind you about the school supply drive we're hosting. Many students begin the school year without necessary supplies. That's why we're partnering with United Way. You can scan that QR code on your screen to donate now, or go to our website, wcnc.com/community. You can donate until August 11th.
A new report listing the 100 most fit cities in the U.S., and it's good news here for the Tar Heel State. Take a look. 5 cities here made the list. Raleigh came in the highest, number 44. Winston-Salem 55, Charlotte 61, Durham 66, Greensboro 89. Good representation. As for most fit cities overall, you see them there: Arlington, Washington, just across the river there, Seattle, San Francisco, and Denver. As I said earlier, when you have so many good restaurants, it's hard to be so fit.
As I said, we have beautiful parks. most of us maybe walk in those parks instead of running in them.
Right, exactly. By the way, they base these things on things like access to parks, recreation facilities, bike lanes, smoking rates, and mental health as well. So there's that.
We still fared very well, I
think we did well. All right, folks, live pictures right now inside our Live Impacts Streaming Center. Coming up, Jane Monreal is going to be standing by. She's got a look at the big news of the day. She's also going to be talking to transportation experts about the increase in traffic deaths. And we'll go to Panthers training camp and talk live with Nick Carboni. All that, plus the breaking news events as they happen around the world and here in the Carolinas, up next right here on WCNC Plus.
Welcome to a hotter day than yesterday. We're 76 and a lot more humid than we were just a day ago. And 93 will feel like 98 by 5 p.m. We're seeing highs range from about the lower to the mid 90s across the area. Our 7-day forecast looks a little frightening. We're weather alert for 5 days because not just a hot streak, a historic heat streak where we have a chance of hitting 100 degrees 5 days in a row. Keep that in mind. And that means the real feel could be as much as 105 to 110 during that stretch. On and off storm chances also possible this evening and again tomorrow. Let's head over to Majestic Storm and see what's going on.
All right, a couple big things you'll want to know about. First things first, I-485, the outer loop right there. We are following this ongoing accident. One lane is currently blocked. This is mile marker 19. Emergency responders are there on scene. You can see the red that's starting to build. This is where that accident is, and it's backed up a couple of miles, so allow for plenty of extra drive time if you do take this way. In addition to that, a serious accident right here. Mint Street is now closed right in front of Bank of America Stadium because of a crash involving a motorcycle.